Okay, we built in some multiple choice question practice since the first 9 weeks test is going to be multiple choice itself. So this is a really good test to see if you can put all this together. So which of the following is not, so underline that word, true when A is parallel to B? So we're looking for what is false. So if A is parallel to B, so the first thing I'm going to do is add some little parallel markings. If these lines are parallel, we're looking for what is not true. So before I even do that, because I know that these are parallel, I'm going to pinball this. So all of these yellow acute angles are going to be congruent. And then all of these blue obtuse angles are going to be congruent to each other. And so let's see which one is not true. Let's just go one by one. 1 is congruent to 5, so far that's true. Those are both blues. And 4 is congruent to 8. Those are both blues. So so far that one's true. So I know it's not going to be that one. We're looking for which one is false. Oh, that is my monitor. Hold on one second, guys. All right. Do we know that the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 6? We do, because those are both yellows. And so because those are both yellows, those measures are going to be equal. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. That is my monitor for my children to make sure they are safe. So hold on one second. All right. The next one. Measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180. So let's find those. Here is angle 1. It is obtuse. Here's angle 5. It's obtuse. Do we know that those add up to 180? We do not. So that's not necessarily true. So we're thinking it's C so far, but let's keep checking. Do 4 and 6 add up to 180? Yes. Those are same side interior, so that one's true. And then is the measure of angle 4 equal to the measure of angle 8? Yes, because those are both blue, both obtuse, so that one's true. So which one is false? Which one is not true is another way to say that. That would be C. And so you would select this one right here. All right, which postulate or theorem would prove that X is parallel to Y based on what information is given in the picture? And so we want to prove that X and Y are parallel. So what kind of angles are those? We know we're going to use the converse of something, because if we're ever trying to prove lines parallel, you have to use a converse theorem. Thankfully, all of these say converse, and so let's see what kind of angles they are. We have the top left corner of this set of 4, and then the top left corner of this set of 4. So those are corresponding angles. So we need the converse of the corresponding angles theorem. It says if those corners are congruent, then the lines must be parallel. Boom, they lock into place, and X and Y must be parallel. All right, which line or postulate or theorem proves A is parallel to B? So here's A, here's B. What kind of angles do we have here and here? Those are alternate exterior. Again, we know we're going to be using a converse. And so we need the converse of alternate exterior angles theorem, which is this one. All right. What value of X would make the lines W and V parallel? So if we want to make these lines parallel, then those are alternate exterior angles, and alternate exterior angles must be congruent. So I can set their measures equal. So 3x plus 60 has to be equal to 120. Those are both obtuse, and so we know our best bet is to set those equal to each other. So I know that 3x equals 60, and so x is going to have to be equal to 20. What value of x makes them parallel? That is going to be B. All right, what postulate or theorem proves that X is parallel to Y? So here's X, here's Y. What kind of angles are those? Well, we have one acute angle. You can see that for the 28-degree angle. And then we have an obtuse angle at 142. And so what kind of angles are those? Those are same side interior. So what should they add up to? They should add up to 180, but what do these add up to? Well, 142 plus 28 is going to give me a total of 170. Well, 170 is not equal to 180 like it's supposed to be for same side interior angles. And so what I'm going to say for this one is E. We cannot prove X is parallel to Y with the given information. In fact, we can actually say that X is not parallel to Y because of the given information. So what we can say is X is not parallel to Y. With the information that's on there, we cannot prove X to be parallel to Y. X to be parallel to Y. In fact, if that's 142 and that's 128, that adds up to 170, so those would not be parallel. All right, which lines are parallel based on the picture that's given? Well, let's see what we have. Well, we have a 30 here, and we have a 30 here, which immediately means those are alternate interior. So EF has to be parallel to BC, because those are alternate interior angles. Now, we're not going to immediately circle that because this option right here says B and C. So we need to check B and C. Could B be true? So AE, line AE, that's this one right here, is that going to be parallel to CF? Well, what would allow that to happen? What is 70 plus 30? That's going to be 100. What is 68 plus 32? That is also going to be 100. And so since those are congruent, those are corresponding angles, those lines must be parallel. So this one's also true. So what is our answer? It's going to be D. Both B and C are true. So meaning that this one was true and this one was true. So we had to select the answer choice B and C. I know it's not E, F, and FD. Those are obviously not parallel. Whenever you check for the all of the above, those are not parallel. EB is right here. Oh, hold on. And then FD is right here. That's 30. That's 32. Those are not the same, so we do not know that those are parallel. In fact, we know that they're not parallel, and so it just has to be D, B, and C, and not all of the above. All right, let's go ahead and do these because I think that they will be quick. Complete the following to make a true statement. If two lines are blank to the same line, then they are blank to each other. All right, so let's test a few of these. Again, y'all pay attention. It says A and C, so obviously we need to test both A and C to see if those are true. So let's test both A and C. So let's go ahead and start with A. If two lines are perpendicular to the same line, then they are parallel to each other. So let's start with that. So we have a line. Let's call it line L. If we have two lines that are perpendicular to the same line, so this one crosses at 90, A, and this one crosses at 90, B, are they parallel to each other? If two lines are perpendicular to the same line, so here and here, are they parallel to each other? The answer is yes, because we know that if they're perpendicular to the same line, the converse of the corresponding angles theorem tells us that those lines A and B must be parallel. So now let's check C, parallel and parallel. If two lines are parallel to the same line, A is parallel to B, and B is parallel to C, what does that mean about A and C? Those also must be parallel to each other. And so we know that E is going to be the answer choice. That is correct because both of those are true. You could test the other two. Those would be false. All right, what theorem or postulate shows that J and K are parallel? What kind of angles are those? Those are alternate interior, and so by the converse of alternate interior angles theorem, those must be parallel because those angles are congruent. So those two alternate interior angles are congruent, and so those lines must be parallel. What theorem or postulate shows that J and K are parallel, if any? And so that is the top left-hand corner, so it should be a converse. That is going to be the converse of corresponding angles theorem. Which of the following statements must be true if A is parallel to B? So let's add that. A is parallel to B. Add some triangles. And we know that C is parallel, X is parallel to Y. Add some triangles, 2 sets. Do we know for sure that the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 5 are equal? Yes, because those are alternate exterior around those pink yellow lines. Those pink parallel lines with the yellow transversal. So 1 and 5 are alternate exterior around those pink set of parallel lines with that yellow transversal X. Do we know that 3 and 5 add up to 180? So here's 3. Here is 5. We do not necessarily know that. Those should be congruent to each other because those are corresponding. So I'm going to cross that one out. What about 7 and 8? So here's 7, it's acute. Here's 8, it's obtuse. Do those add up to 180? Yes, because of those pink parallel lines cut by the transversal. So we are only able to say 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Not all of the above because the second one was false. All right, determine which lines must be parallel. You have to have the markings in order to make the assumption. So if these are parallel, then if those are congruent, then A, highlight it, then A and B must be parallel. So we know that that one's true so far. All right, let's look at our other markings. If this one and let's see, if this one and this one are congruent. We do not necessarily know anything about those, but what can I do? This is vertical angles to this one. And so these would be supplementary because those are same side exterior, but they don't say that they're supplementary. They're saying that those are congruent. We don't necessarily know that. So we do not know anything about those. So that was a swing and a miss. All right, what about these two sets? Those don't even have a transversal connecting them. So all we know for sure is that A is parallel to B. We don't know anything about these other lines because I do not have the necessary markings. And so I'm going to put A.